Hello, welcome to the Mark Janad Show, the cybersecurity show. In this video, I'm going to break down the 5 levels of hacking along with real-world examples, how ethical hackers fit on each level versus malicious hackers, and how you can protect yourself from being hacked. So, without further ado, let's get right into it. We're going dark. So the first level we have is reconnaissance, right? That's basically information gathering. The purpose is to collect as much information as possible about the target before launching an attack. Now the types we have passive reconnaissance, right? That's gathering information without directly interacting with the target, right? That's kind of like searching public records, social media, who is that tool, the who is database, kind of stuff like that. The active reconnaissance is directly engaging with the target, right? You have port scans, ping sweeps to, gather information which may alert the target to the probing. Now, the goal is to identify potential entry points, gather data on network infrastructure, personnel, and technologies used. Now, an example is like a hacker uses LinkedIn to, and company websites to identify key IT staff and their email formats, right? They also perform dumpster diving, searching through discarded documents to find, like the network diagrams or, the passwords. Now, another example of passive reconnaissance includes searching social media or public databases for information about the target's organization's infrastructure or personnel. Now, ethical hackers gather information about the target system with explicit permission and within legal boundaries, aiming to identify potential vulnerabilities to help the organization improve its security. Now, malicious hackers collect information covertly and without consent, intending to exploit weaknesses for personal gain or to cause harm, to the organization, etc. The second level we have is scanning, right? Now, the purpose is actively probe the target to discover live systems, open ports, and, vulnerabilities. Now, the types we have are port scanning. You can identify open ports and services running on the target. Now, there is vulnerability scanning, which is checking for known weaknesses using automated tools, right? There is network mapping, creating, basically a map of the network's topology, the routers, the firewalls, and the hosts. Now, the goal is to pinpoint specific weaknesses that can be exploited in the next phase, right? Now, here's an example, right? Using tools like Nmap or Nessus, a hacker scans the target's network to identify open ports, running services, and potential vulnerabilities. Another example is running a vulnerability scanner to find outdated software versions on web servers that could or can be exploited. Now, ethical hackers, could probably, actively probe systems to discover vulnerabilities, but always within the agreed scope and with the goal of reporting the issues for, kind of like remediation. Now, malicious hackers scan networks to find exploitable points, intending to break in and compromise systems, keyword, unlawfully. Now, the third level we have is gaining access, right? Now, the purpose is exploit discovered vulnerabilities to enter the target system or the network. Common techniques, you have password cracking, exploiting software bugs, buffer overflows, social engineering, or session hijacking. Now, the goal is to obtain, user or administrative access to the system, which may allow installation of malware, data theft, or, further attacks. Now, an example is exploiting a discovered vulnerability, such as using a known exploit for an unpatched web server to gain shell access. Here's a social engineering example by, like sending a phishing email with a fake login page to trick an employee into revealing their credentials and then using those credentials to log in the, into the system. Now, ethical hackers attempt to exploit vulnerabilities as a simulation, documenting, their methods and their findings, so the organization can, patch weaknesses. They never cause damage or steal data, right? Now, malicious hackers, they exploit vulnerabilities to gain unauthorized access, steal data, install malware, or disrupt operations for personal or financial gain. The fourth level is maintaining access. The purpose is to ensure continued access to the compromised system for future exploitation. Now the techniques, like installing backdoors, rootkits, or Trojans, creating new, user accounts, escalating privileges. Now the goal is to remain undetected while retaining control, allowing for ongoing data exfiltration, or further attacks. Now an example is installing a backdoor or a Trojan on the compromised system so the hacker can return later, even if the original vulnerability is patched. Another example is creating a new hidden administrator account to ensure persistent access. Now, ethical hackers may demonstrate how persistent access could be established, but do so transparently and remove any backdoors or tools after testing. Their goal is to show risk, not maintain ongoing unauthorized access. Now, malicious hackers install backdoors or create hidden accounts to retain long-term undetected access for continued exploitation or control. Now, the fifth and last level is covering tracks. The purpose is to remove evidence of the attack to avoid detection and potential prosecution. Now the techniques is deleting or altering logs, uninstalling tools used during the attack, modifying registry values, or erasing created files and folders. Now the goal is to prevent system administrators or forensic investigators from tracing the attack back to the hacker. Now example is, again, deleting or modifying log files to erase evidence of the intrusion, such as removing entries that show unauthorized access. Another example is uninstalling hacking tools and erasing scripts used during the attack to avoid detection by forensic investigators. Now, ethical hackers may illustrate how an attacker could cover their tracks, but always preserve evidence and provide full reports to the organization. They do not destroy logs or data. Now, malicious hackers erase logs, delete evidence, and use obfuscation to avoid detection and hinder forensic investigations. Now, let's talk about key steps to protect yourself from hackers. You can use strong, unique passwords. It is recommended to create passwords that are at least 12 to 15 characters long, using a mix of letters, numbers, and special characters. You're going to also never reuse passwords across different accounts. So if one account is compromised, others could be at risk as well. You also want to consider using a reputable password manager to generate and store complex passwords securely. Enable two-factor authentication. Add an extra layer of security to your online accounts by enabling multi-factor authentication wherever possible. So this typically requires a code sent to your phone or generated by an authenticator app in addition to your password. And lastly, use authenticator apps or security keys for even stronger protection. So that is what I have for you today. Please take a moment right now to hit that subscribe button and the like button. If you appreciate this video and you want more videos like this, please let me know that by hitting that subscribe button and the like button. I appreciate viewership. Stay safe and see you on the next video.